Welcome back to Young and Heard. Ryan Lombardi, Lily Goodman, and we are joined by a very special guest, Lindsay Rhodes of Sumer Sports. Lindsay, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for
How
having
you doing today?
me. I'm so excited for you guys that you are here. What a fun week for you guys.
This is awesome.
It's amazing. It's truly unbelievable. All these bright colors, everything is attention grabbing. It's not even overstimulating at all. I'm very surprised.
I'm easily overstimulated.
I hear that though.
So, yeah, it might be a little bit later on in the week, like come Friday when it gets really, really crowded in here.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have killed when I was in college for an opportunity like this. So,
Yeah,
It is
so
truly incredible.
walk me through kind of your role with Sumer Sports, how that came to be. We a little off air. You talked about it's the first civilization use analytics, but
yeah.
let's hear it.
Yeah, well, so it's funny because my son is, first of all, everybody calls us Summer Sports. And so then I, do the correction. Sumer, it's like Sumer, the ancient Mesopotamian empire, which is also a reference that I think goes like this over a lot
Amazing
of
reference.
But my son is in 6th grade, and he literally was studying about Mesopotamia this year.
Right.
And they taught him like a song that someone made up on YouTube to remember certain things. And so he's like walking around singing about Sumer. And I was like, what is happening? Like, I need to bring you with me when I'm introducing the company every single time. But yeah, they were like an ancient civilization that they were advanced and like the first used data or something like that. So that's why.
Yeah.
It's really cool. That's great.
Yeah.
No,
So what's?
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say. So what's kind of your role with that? I know you're like kind of like a host, but what's kind of your day to day?
Yeah, that's a great question. My career prior to joining Sumer was just as a straight broadcaster, like easy to describe. I'm a sports broadcaster, whatever type of content that is. That's the answer.
Right.
Now that I work at Sumer, that it is so much harder to answer that question. Like the elevator pitch about the company and about my role with the company is just complicated. So I still do broadcasting. We have a podcast, and then I do a lot of the like brand ambassador type stuff. But also because I have been in the content lane for so long looking for information to help me prepare for different games. I also advise the company behind the scenes on how to build out their products in ways that will help people that are like me.
Yeah.
Like, what are the stats that I actually am looking for that I can't find, which has been super fun to work with a bunch of people who are much smarter than me and to be able to just sort of unload like what I want and have them be like, hold please, how about this? And I'm like, what? Like they created this product called Sumer Live, which we've been using during the playoffs, which is an advanced data dashboard.
Okay.
So if you like follow and you're in the car or whatever and you're following a game, not driving of course, and you like would follow like the ESPN feed, just the play-by-play. We have that play-by-play feed, but it's also updating all of the advanced stats after every single play.
That's incredible.
I mean, we could tell you like what coverage it was, and by the way, the play-by-play feed has it says what the play was, and then it says what personnel they were in. Are they in 12 personnel? Was it against a heavy box? Was it cover 3?
I need this.
Was there motion on the play? Was there play action on the play? You guys literally try. This is one of those things where all of these stories that happened this year with the Seahawks and the Rams and their 12 personnel usage or their 13 personnel usage, I found myself watching the game going, I don't want to wait until Monday to find out how much 12 or 13 they're using, but my eyes don't count tight ends. Like as the play is happening, I just don't have that. I get overstimulated. So this does that in real time. Like I can go last week, I was able to go and say they were in 13 personnel, like 40% clip, and you can monitor it as the game's going on. So you see when they go away from it and why are they going away from it. So it makes telling stories so much easier. So it's a very long-winded way of saying like, that's kind of how my role is like, this is something I need, and then they have the brains to actually build it out.
I love that.
That's so complex and vivid. Like, what a canvas. So out of this canvas, it's so vivid, so many colors and so many different things that come into play. How did you discover a passion for all of this, and how did you, I guess, decide on what to hone in on?
So after being a broadcaster for a long period of time, I think as a broadcaster, you're always looking for ways that you can differentiate your story. If you're in sports reporting in general, you spend a lot of time saying, like, what is already out there? How can I add to the landscape of information? What is not known? If I'm going to a press conference, What do we already know about what the coach is going to talk about? And how can I ask a question to get him to say something that people don't know the answer to, right? Like that's what you're always doing in an information gathering job. So in that sense, I think in the last few years, that information gathering has kind of branched out into like data, and you're trying to find different stories that nobody else is talking about, and the things that make teams and games, and like what makes it click, what makes it work, what makes a player good, what are the things that we think we know, but are they actually true, you know, or like, because you go through a few years ago too, I hate to bring a person's name up into this, but there was an inflection point with the Vikings where Dalvin Cook, they let him go. And the people who had been following along that year could tell his efficiency metrics had fallen off a cliff.
Right.
And so that's usually a sign that maybe he just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe we are at that cliff point for him. But because they gave him the ball so much anyway, because he was their feature back, that was masked a little bit to people who were just looking at counting stats. And so he still had a ton of yards, and people were like, what are you talking about? How could they let him go? He was a 1,000-yard rusher. And people who were looking for that edge did know. We were like, his efficiencies dropped off. They're getting ahead of it rather than chasing it.
Right.
So the thing that I love, this just gives me an opportunity to kind of chase those questions, I guess, in a different way.
And like, how have you kept up with the ever-changing technology and everything? And it's like kind of like either got to adapt to it or you're going to fall behind.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot right now. I'm not going to lie. Like the amount of data that is available can be like, you can just kind of go like paralysis by analysis because there's so much out there. So I think that it's best to just figure out what I have done is ask people what they think is the most important thing. And so I've spent a lot of time talking to data scientists or talking to scouts or talking to general managers or whatever, and always asking them, like, what do you think is the most important thing in the thing that is your lane? Like, what is the difference maker in this conversation? And then just kind of retaining all of the different answers that kind of point you to the right answer. From a data standpoint, there are definitely different stats. We did a podcast series last summer called a Sticky Stats series, where we talked about the stats that were the stickiest, meaning like they're most likely to be consistent year to year and therefore somewhat predictive. You're always looking to figure out what's environmental and what is going to remain the same. And so there are different stats for every position. There are certain things that I think my eye naturally goes to now. But it takes a lot to get to that point, I think.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely, yeah. So I kind of want to shift our focus towards the area. So you have a lot of connection with this area. And I just wanted to ask you how you felt about your Super Bowl being hosted in, I guess, like your place of work. What do you think that the city has to offer?
I live in Los Angeles, but the fact that it is in California, in my own time zone, which is kind of nice. Although, as I think you guys will find throughout the week, or maybe not, Super Bowl's on the West Coast because so much of the country operates on East Coast time.
We being one of them.
You just have to so here you're like, okay, we're going to get up at 5 a.m. and start everything. So in some ways, Super Bowls on the West Coast are like not ideal.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
For me, like the last 2 mornings I've been here, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I had to force myself to go back to sleep, or else I was going to be drained for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I had not that problem.
I'm still adjusting.
I had to get up at 5. And see, here's the thing that my producer, who I love very much, but does not take into account, I'm a female, and I've put on makeup.
I hear ya.
So he's like, your first hit's going to be at 6:30. And I'm like, that means I'm waking up and doing like the back hiding.
Yes.
Oh.
You guys are so lucky, and these are things
Seriously,
that
Ryan.
Never take that for granted, that when something happens or a breaking news thing happens, you could just literally turn the camera on and go. And I'm like, hold on, I'll be there in just a second.
I will
Taking
say
the iron to the hair and everything.
We're waiting in the hotel. Lily, not to call you out. You were the last
Go
one
ahead, it's
downstairs
okay,
this
yeah.
morning.
Well,
Well said.
she has a lot more to do in
I
the morning
will
than
say.
you do,
You
or
can-
I will
else
say.
people will be like, "Ew, why is that ugly girl on TV?" And none of us need that on the Twitter or anything like that.
No, it doesn't
So,
feel very good. You guys
No.
are so lucky that you can just like wake up, brush your hair, and you're good to go.
You're so lucky. How did this turn into that, by the way?
I don't
PSA.
know.
Like, sorry.
I'm like, but
So I actually wanted to ask a follow-up question. It is kind of difficult for women, especially in TV and broadcasting and in this industry. Um, who were some of the people that inspired you to go into this, and how did their messages like encourage you along your way?
My the reason that I wanted to be a broadcaster, in terms of like, I very much believe the if you see it you can be it type thing. Like, I
Yeah.
think that is important, that people need to see people doing jobs to think that this is a path that's available to
Right.
It's
them.
possible.
Hannah Storm used to host the NBA on NBC back in the day when it was on NBC a long time ago. And she was on the desk with the guys hosting, but it was in such a way where, like, what I was used to seeing was women who were in peripheral roles to the broadcast. And in this particular case, she was like, I hate to use the phrase one of the guys because it feels like that's what you're aspiring to, which is not
No,
true.
yeah.
But it was like she was treated like she was just a part of the conversation. And there was a power dynamic where it was clear that she had some. And I thought, that's what I want to be.
yeah.
Like, I don't just want to do it and be off on the side. I want to be a part of the conversation. And I do think that being able to identify why she appealed to me so specifically was really important. And I would say this to anybody who's looking for any kind of career advice. To identify the why behind the what that you want to do helps you make choices that will actually get you there in ways that you're not even thinking of consciously. Like,
Yeah.
because then I could turn down jobs that were on camera but clearly weren't going to put me on a path to being that,
Yeah.
to being seen that way. Like, that was my ultimate goal. It wasn't just to be a sports broadcaster. It was to be that kind of sports broadcaster.
So I guess that kind of answers my next question. Is I've heard so many times through school, if you could imagine yourself doing something else, you're probably in the wrong business. Would that like stay true for you? Could you have ever imagined yourself doing something other than working in the sports broadcasting world?
I think there were a lot of times, like, broadcasting's hard. It's really hard to get in. It's hard to, like, break through. That's the hardest part. And then the job itself is honestly the hardest that it will ever be right at the beginning. It's like a weird inverted pyramid here where they're like, let's put all the hard stuff real early and then we'll take away jobs. Like, at the beginning, you have to be the camera person and the editor and the writer and the person on air and the researcher and then as you go up, they're like, we're going to give you a camera person and we're going to give you an editor. Now we're going to give you a researcher. And you're just like, so I'm showing up and talking. Like,
Yeah.
it's so, but there are, the point is that at the beginning it's hard. And so I did envision, I mean, I like was like, do I need to be a lawyer? Like, I sent out resume tapes for a year after I graduated from USC before I got even an offer at all. 1 year. And I had interned my entire way through college at Fox Sports West in LA. I had done on-air stuff in Los Angeles. My tape had me doing features at USC and UCLA. And so I was like, if anyone here at USC at the time is set up to like hit in broadcasting, it was me, because I had done everything possible to make that happen.
Yeah.
And I still had to wait a year.
Wow.
So there were definitely times when I think I had to think about other paths, and I just think that's realistic. But thank God that someone finally did call,
Yeah.
and you get through all of the hard stuff. I do think there's some truth, though, that you have to love it in
Right.
order to. You can't just care about, like, the glitz and the glamour and going to a Super Bowl and being on camera. Like, you can't.
Yeah, no.
Because it's like the tiniest percentile of the job that you actually do. And you just have to love, like, I love the research. I love finding a nugget that no
Yeah.
one else knows and
Yeah.
knowing that I get to go tell that story. And I think that those are the parts that you really have to love about the job, like the actual job, the process of the job. And that's how you'll find a way to make the rest of it
Yeah.
work.
I guess on that like kind of same note, if you could go back in time and offer like your younger self like one piece of advice and maybe offer it to Lily and I, like what would that be?
I would say to not be as hard on yourself, to not, I mean, everybody says this, like, to get out of your head about what other people think.
Powerful.
That was my biggest thing. Like, now you guys are kind of growing up in an age where everybody tells you what they think all the time on social media. So
Yeah.
you maybe will get there faster than I did. But I would go home after broadcasts and know that I'd flubbed a line or something, and I would just beat myself up
Right.
until I got back on air, thinking about how everyone thought I had no credibility anymore. And the truth is, the people that are going to think that already think that anyway, even if you're nailing it, even if you're knocking it out of the park. So you need to not be concerned about their thoughts. Try and live up to your own standards. That's what I would say to myself. And if you feel like you are living up to your own standards, those are definitely good enough, because those are the highest standards. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the hardest on myself, way harder
Absolutely.
than anyone could be on
Yeah.
social media or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the most case for a lot of like journalists, especially like as women. What other people tell us, it gets to our heads sometimes, and it's true for everybody as well. So, what is your advice for specifically young women in this industry who are looking for some guidance?
I would say, well, one thing I would say to everybody, men and women, but maybe more so women in this space, because you're gonna need, like, there's less of, right? And
Yeah.
so the whole see it, you can be it. I would say reach out to people whose work you admire and do the whole cold DM thing, and don't feel bad about it. Like, reach out to everybody. People want to help people as much as they can, but make it easy for them to help you. So one of the things that I get a lot is, how do I get started in this business? How did you, like, something so broad that I'm like, I don't know how much you already know. I don't know where to even start. There's a bunch of different paths. There are a bunch of different things that are important. So sometimes it's hard and daunting to feel like I even have to want to attempt to answer that question. Whereas if you send me a clip of something that you did and you say, here's my latest interview, what did you think of the second question? I was having a hard time with how to phrase that, or something like that. Or which
Yeah.
of these answers do you think is the best soundbite, or something like that. Something that's easy for me to do in 5 minutes while I'm in a taxi or whatever. I can look at it, shoot you back a note. I feel like I've helped. We now have a connection. Now you can hit me back again, and then hit me back again, and then it becomes a conversation where I can help you more frequently. So ask for advice in ways that are really easy for the other person to deliver, and then that's the easiest way to create some sort of mentorship connection.
Yeah, I love that.
Love it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, coming on.
Yes,
This
thank
was
you.
awesome.
Thank you for having me. Good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You
Appreciate
as well.
Thank you.
All right, so stay with us here on Young and Heard on WSBU 88.3 FM, The Buzz.
Buzz.